MashaAllah.
Whatever you're inspired to.
Now, I'm just going along the same lines of what Sheikh Muhammad was talking about. One of the things that was really, really profound, we drove down, Hamid and myself, we drove down to attend the janaza of Muhammad Ali. May Allah have mercy on him and accept him. And I had been interested in Muhammad Ali. I mean, everyone knew him and everyone felt like, and that's another interesting miracle, is everyone felt drawn to him. You know, even his quote unquote, you know, enemies, they couldn't help but love him. And Sheikh Hamza mentioned this in sort of his condolences. He has a video where he's conveying his condolences to the family of, you know, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestows His love upon one of His servants, and you see that really, really manifest in Muhammad Ali in a very profound way, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala calls out to Jibreel alayhi salam. He says, Ya Jibreel, inni uhibbu fulanan fa ahibba. Oh Jibreel, I love so-and-so, so you must love that person. And then Jibreel goes down to the angels in the heavenly kingdom and says, Allah loves so-and-so, so you all love so-and-so. And then the Prophet ﷺ says, and this is in Bukhari and Muslim, ثُمَّ يُوضَعْ لَهُ الْقَبُولُ فِي الْأَرْضِ أو كما قال صلى الله عليه وسلم. Then that person has acceptance on the earth. And I don't know of anyone in the world who has acceptance like Muhammad Ali. And, you know, I felt this way for a while because of, you know, accounts of his family. Just, it's almost, really, I mean, mashallah, his name was, he was given the name Muhammad Ali. But there are certain aspects of the Prophet ﷺ that you really see manifest. There's so many acts of kindness that he did. As Sheikh Muhammad was saying, he really exuded this sense of love to everyone. He was the most famous man in the world, yet amazingly humble, profoundly humble. That you know, he would often help people on the side of the road asking for a ride. You know, that he would play with children. My brother was telling me that he came to the mosque in Ann Arbor, and after everyone said salam to him and everything, he just went to a little room with the kids and he started doing magic tricks with them. My brother's like, man, you know, he's like, I remember when he started levitating, and then he told the kids, hey, I told you I can float like a butterfly. You know, he had this levitating trick. And, you know, he would spar with them and all these kinds of things. I mean, he just had a very, very loving heart, and, you know, and a very principled man, you know, with what happened in Vietnam and losing everything from the world. I saw a clip of him, and someone was asking him, he said, you know, all the riches and wealth of this world is like the wing of a mosquito compared to what you get in the next life. And his like ability to talk about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala so naturally, you know, and from a young age he would say, you know, God has plans for me. And how, yeah, subhanAllah, like Allah chooses people. Allah chooses people. And we really saw that when we went to the janaza, because it was like, I don't know, I really felt like the number of non-Muslims at the janaza were more than the Muslims. Like everybody was there. There were like random white ladies crying, you know, at the janaza, and like so many people were there. And one of his friends, you know, an older gentleman, I'm trying to remember his name right now, Gene Kilroy. He was there, and all these, you know, journalists are asking him, you know, all these questions about him. And he was just saying, you know, we lost a great soul. We lost someone with a great heart. He was great in and out of the ring, you know, and that was just like a manifestation. And then during the memorial, Imam Zayd said it. We all felt it. Like I mentioned it to a few people. I was like, man, I think he's a wali, you know. And I saw Sheikh Hamza Abdul Malik there. He was like, yeah, man, definitely. Like, what's all this, you know, all this that's going on? But then Imam Zayd even mentioned it in the memorial. He said, I've never seen a more powerful, I've never seen the power of wilaya like I've seen it in Muhammad Ali's janaza. That's what Imam Zayd, and Imam Zayd has been around, like, Imam Zayd has seen things For him to say that is really, really, really ajib. But I think it all goes back to really his loving people, respecting people. He grew up in a time, and he mentioned this himself, he grew up in a time that was very difficult. Like even when he started boxing, he couldn't box with the other kids because it was a segregated gym. Like he wasn't allowed to be seen with the other kids boxing, right? He could have been a very bitter person. He went through a lot of injustice in his life, but you see him, whoever's talking to him, he would treat them well. He would treat them generously. Rahimahullah. So I really, there's so many lessons. And when we were there at the janaza, just everyone was inspired. Like everyone, it was almost like a euphoria. And you don't see euphoria at a janaza, but it was almost like a little sense of euphoria. And everyone who was there, it was almost like a wedding. All these people, there's people I haven't seen in years. Yeah, that was there. And everyone, so good to see you, And everyone was like, Muhammad Ali brought us together. Muhammad Ali brought us together. He brought us all together. And it really was this sense of joy and this beauty. And everywhere he went. And Louisville, the whole city was like, electrified with this presence, subhanAllah. And we heard on the radio that Muhammad Ali as a child, right? That he would see a recurring dream that he was flying over Louisville and everyone was in the streets waving at him. And that's exactly how his funeral procession was. Like it was like 3 hours of all these people just waving at him as he went by. And there was a thing that he would always say. There's this thing that he would always say in his life where whenever he would try to do something good, he would say, I'm trying to get to heaven. And just to have that so present in his mind when he's, there was a story that was mentioned at the memorial that's in his sort of memoirs, The Soul of a Butterfly, where he picked up this, man on the side of the road, and the man had a bunch of Bibles, and Muhammad Ali was trying to buy some Bibles, and he went to buy some translations of the Quran. There was something he was working on. So he said, I want some Bibles, and the man says, I have some Bibles at home. I can give you some. So he said, okay, I got to pay you for it. And he's like, no. He's like, champ, like you gave me a ride. Like, I can't accept payment. And Muhammad Ali's giving him the money. And he goes, take the money. I'm trying to get into heaven. He goes, I'm trying to get into heaven too. Like, I don't want the money, So then they go into the house and he meets the man's wife. And this is, there's something special about this man. This is someone who could have been one of the most entitled people in the world if he wanted to. And he left the money underneath like a napkin in their house. And he meets the man's wife. And then his daughter, who was with him, tells the man, here's my number, take my number. If ever you need a ride, let me know. So they're leaving, and Muhammad Ali looks at his daughter and he says, would you really pick him up? If he asked you for a ride, would you come and pick him up and give him a ride? Would you take time out of your day to do that? And she said, yeah. And he goes, that's me and you. That's me and you. That's something that he knew within himself, like that Allah placed it within him. And there's literally a million stories like that could be told in the life of this one man who, had a million other things going on all of the time. And everyone, even if you see what his ex-wives, and once again, those are the people who see some of the most human sides of a person. And if there's anyone who could have nasty things to say, it would probably be an ex-wife, if she wanted to. You see his ex-wives saying, yeah, he has a beautiful heart. He has the most beautiful heart I've ever seen. He's completely sincere. He cries, a lot. He's, got a beautiful heart. I mean, for all these people to testify to that. And I think it goes back to this love that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestowed upon him. And that he was a manifestation of really giving love, giving smiles, giving, even I think even the fact that he liked to entertain people with magic tricks or jokes or, poetry or being a, entertainer, like a showman. And I think all of it came back to him wanting to bring happiness to people and to bring joy to people, rahimahullah ta'ala.
أبشروا ولا تنفروا.
Naam, subhanallah. And you just see the most random people. You know, Muhammad was one of his friends. His name was it John Ramsey? John Ramsey. He was saying, Muhammad is the greatest example of a human being that I've ever met. You know, and just to hear people saying that, and you know, all of the things that are going on in the world, and the tragedy that happened today in Orlando, and La ilaha illallah. We have to be people who really give that love and express that love and share that love. And I'll end with this story because I really liked it. I saw Preacher Moss at the janaza. And Preacher Moss said that he ran into Muhammad Ali in 1997 and he gave him all this really good advice. They were in LA. And just the fact that he spent like downtime with people, not like I got 5 minutes, like what do you want? I gotta go, I got things to do. But he would actually like hang out with people. So he hung out with Preacher Moss and he gave him all this advice. And then he said, all of a sudden, he said, hey, you got $1? To Preacher Moss, you know. He's like, whatever you want, champ. Like, I'll give you $1, you know. Pulls out a dollar bill, gives it to him, and he does some trick, and the dollar disappears. And then he goes behind Preacher Moss's ear, and he takes out a quarter. And he goes, this is your money after taxes. You know, just... And that's, you know, that's what Preacher Moss felt like sharing after at his janaza, right? I mean, just and literally so many people have those stories, you know. La ilaha illallah. May Allah have mercy on him. May Allah increase his honor. Now that he's passed, Allah increase his honor and increase his light and guide others to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through him, and let people know that, he was an example of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in his love and in his compassion and his caring for people. And Allah gave him things. Allah gave him things. There's no doubt about that. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi.